Good morning, everybody. This is Heather Poduska, and this is your minivan moment where I bring you tips and inspirations to help you create the life you really want. Have you ever felt slammed, put down, or betrayed for speaking up and speaking your mind? You know, several years ago, I had that experience. I was in Italy, and I'd gone to Italy to learn Italian. I was in the middle of my operatic career, and of course, if you want to be an opera singer, you need to be proficient in Italian. So I went to Florence to this special school to learn Italian, do this intensive training, and at the beginning, they do an assessment to see which level you should be in. And the next day we started class, and I was chugging along, but after a few days, about a week or so, I started to struggle, and I didn't always know the answer. So the teacher would call on me, and when I didn't know the answer, I started to notice this pattern, that if I didn't know the answer, instead of helping me figure it out, she would call on one of the guys in the class. And if they didn't know the answer, she would stop and help them figure it out. And I started to see this over and over again, like, wait a minute, instead of helping me figure it out, she just went on to the guy in the class. And the next day or so, I went out to coffee with the other girls from the class, and I said, man, this is really bothering me. And all of the girls were like, oh my God, that same thing is happening to me. And we exchanged notes, and we noticed that the teacher would call on girls, and if the women didn't know the answer, then she would immediately call on the guys. And if the guys didn't know the answer, she would help them. So the guys were moving along at a much faster pace than the girls were. And we were like, oh my gosh, this isn't fair. We've paid a lot of money to be here. Someone should say something. And I said, of course, because I like to speak up, I said, I will say something, but you guys have to back me up. You know, does everybody feel this way? Yes, 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 of course we will, we will. Next day in class, I raised my hand and I said something to the teacher that, you know, we sort of noticed this pattern, blah, blah, blah. And the teacher went ballistic and was so angry and defensive, which, you know, maybe I don't blame her. She probably felt put on the spot. But she said, does anybody else feel this way? And not a single other person in the class said yes. None of the women who were at coffee with me said yes. It was total crickets. And I was so mad. And after class, I said, you know what, this is crazy. I'm going to change classes. So I went down to the registrar's office to change classes. And I said, you know, I really need to be in the next lower class. This is too hard for me. I need to learn Italian for my career. I'm not just taking this for fun. And they said, you know, we don't do that. You've been placed. You've had this assessment. And I said, you know, I really, really need to change. I'm not learning what I need to learn. They said, well, okay, we'll put you in the next lower class. So I went to the next lower class, and I'm happy as a clam. And after class that day, all of the girls from the other class who did not support me came up to me and said, how did you change classes? We went down to the registrar right after you did to ask if we could change class too. And they said no. And I was like, yes, because I was like, nobody backed me up. Nobody said anything. I was the only person who stuck my neck out, but I was the person who reaped the reward. And that's what happens when you're a leader, when you speak up, when you ask for what you need and what you want and speak your truth and speak your mind. You're not always popular, and people don't always follow you. And sometimes people get angry with you and say things that are hurtful or whatever. But you get to have things that other people who aren't willing to speak up don't get to have. I got to change classes, and no one else in that school, in that class, got to change classes. I got what I needed, and no one else did. So if you're sitting on the fence, if you're nervous about speaking up, I understand that it can be scary, but do it, man, because you will be seen as a leader, and you will get things that other people only dream of in their lives. Okay, if you've had that experience or something similar, I would love to hear about it. Put it in the comments. And if you found this helpful in any way or think someone else might be helped from it, please share it on out. If you'd like to know more, you can check me out at heatherpoduska.com. Okay, until next time, here's to hitting all your high notes. Take care. Bye-bye.